Today we are talking about the 12 main meridians pathways. Where do they start? Where do they go? Which area do they cover? And not just the external part. The external part is where all the points are located, but also the internal branches and the internal part of each meridians. Which means that when you know where the meridian goes internally and externally, you have a better understanding of its function as a whole, but also as the function of each of its acupuncture points. Does that make sense? Welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, I'm Clara from Acupro Academy, and I create Chinese medicine and acupuncture content for students and practitioners, making it easy to grasp and fun to learn. Are you ready? Let's go. So looking at the 12 channels or the 12 meridians pathway is going to help us understand better how we select point during our treatment. Now, if you wanted a whole lecture on channel theory or meridian theory specifically and how meridian work in a TCM perspective, but also in a scientific perspective, I already created a video on channel theory with all this information. I'll have the link below for you so you can watch it if you missed it. Okay, we are going to go in the order of the cyclical flow of qi, which means I'm going to start with the pathway of the lung. The next one's going to be the large intestine, stomach, spleen, heart, etc., etc. Following the cyclical flow of qi makes sense, right? I hope you enjoy this. Let's rock it with all the meridian pathway and let me know below what you enjoyed the most. The lung channel is a hand channel because it finishes at the hand. Any channel that finishes or starts at the hand is a hand channel. So the lung is a hand channel, and it is, of course, a yin organ system and channel / meridian. I use back and forth channel and meridian, so don't shoot the messenger. That's the French in me. It is a Tai yin channel. So yin because it is a yin organ system, the lung, and it is Tai. Tai is often translated as greater yin meridian. It is mostly activated between 3 and 5 a.m. Those 2 hours kind of give us clues in our diagnosis. If someone wakes up at 4 a.m. every night and can't go back to sleep, maybe there is some issue with the lung system in TCM perspective. Now, we're going to look at the pathway of the lung meridian. Every meridian / channel has an internal branch and an external branch. So the internal branch is the one that connects to all the organs that it is going to be connected to and address issues of. And then the external branch is where all the acupuncture points are going to be located. So the acupuncture points, when you needle the point, it activates and connects to the internal branch to help the self-healing process, because acupuncture is all about self-healing. So what I love about the lung channel is that it starts in the middle jiao. The middle jiao is spleen and stomach. And so the middle jiao means the digestive system. And in the 5 element theory, earth, which is spleen and stomach, generates the baby, which is the lung and large intestine or metal. So earth generates metal, which means earth is the mother of metal, which means the digestive system is the mother of the lung and large intestine or the immune system. So in order to have a great immune system, we need a good digestive system. So that's their connection. That's why the lung meridian actually starts in the middle jiao. It's that connection, right? And then it will go down to meet the large intestine, its yin-yang related organ system and channel. And then it will go back up through the lung. Of course, all channels are bilateral, so I'm going in the middle, but technically it's on both sides because both channels are bilateral. It will ascend to the throat because it needs to address issues of sore throat. We'll see how many points do that, right? So it goes to the throat where the voice is also activated, which the lung relates to the voice as well, right? And then it will go back down to the chest where it is going to exit at the external branch at lung 1. And so lung 1 is going to be located on the chest, and that's the first point. Lung 2 will be directly above. And then it's going to go down along the anterior aspect of the arm, right? So it's going to go down anterior aspect of the arm and going down. So we're going to have 3 and 4 on the upper arm. I will look at in detail locations after. I'm just going through the pathway of the meridian. And then it'll get to the elbow, which is lung 5. On the forearm, we have lung 6. Long 7 will be on closer to the wrist. And then we have 8 and 9 both at the wrist area. 10 on the palm, look at my beautiful palm, and 11 at the end of the thumb. So that gives you, obviously it is bilateral. I just started on this way and then finishes here because of my drawing and the space I have on that board. So we have 11 points there. And then we think, okay, the meridian pathway is over. No, there's always branches because it's more fun to make it. I always tell my students, you got no more stuff, more branches, more things to remember. So the long channel has a branch and the branch starts at long 7. So long 7, just on the wrist area, we'll look at location in a minute, we'll start at long 7 and we'll go and finish at the index finger where it will meet its yin-yang related meridian, the large intestine. So the branch starts at long 7, and when we get to long 7, we'll understand why it is starting at long 7, and goes along the dorsum aspect of the hand, the finger, and finishes at the index finger where it meets large intestine 1, or where it meets the large intestine channel, where the large intestine channel starts. So let's recap that quickly. Starts in the middle jiao, goes down to the large intestine, up through the lung, to the throat, comes out at long 1 on the chest. Long 1 and 2 are both on the chest. We have 3 and 4 on the bicep area, 5 at the elbow, 6 on the forearm, 7, 8, 9 around the wrist area, 10 on the palm, and 11 on the thumb at the end. And then there's that branch from long 7 that finishes at the large intestine 1, which is at the tip of the index. And that's the pathway of the long meridian. So we are going to start by looking at the large intestine channel pathway. Before we do this, we have to remember that the large intestine is a yang channel, right? And it is a yang Ming channel. So Ming being brightest. It's the brightest yang because it comes from the Ming dynasty. So it's the yang Ming channel, which the other one, which is a foot yang Ming channel, is the stomach. This is a hand yang Ming channel because it starts at the hand. Anything that starts or finishes at the hand is a hand meridian. Everything that starts and finishes at the foot is a foot meridian. So this is a hand yang Ming meridian. It is most active between 5 and 7 a.m. in the morning. 5 and 7 a.m. This is probably the best time to evacuate, to have a bowel movement, to let go of the stools and everything that needs to be evacuated in the morning. So that's the best time to have a bowel movement when we wake up before we have breakfast and start the beginning of digestion, which is the opposite end at the stomach. The large intestine meridian pathway starts at the index finger because that's where the long channel finished. So we start at the index finger and we're going to go along the back of the hand or the dorsum part of the hand all the way in the posterior part of the forearm to the elbow, along the upper arm to the shoulder. Okay, so that's 1 to 15. We're going to have 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 on the forearm, 11 at the elbow, and then all along the arm we'll have 12 to 15. Then we're going to go in the back. So we're going to go to the back to large intestine 16, which is where the scapular spine and the clavicle meet at the acromion, and this is going to be large intestine 16, which is the only point of the large intestine that's in the back of the body. It's going to go to C7. So it's going back to C7 where DU14 is. DU14 is really powerful because all 6 yang channel will meet at DU14 or meet at C7. So it's really an important area. Then it's going to come back to the front and it's going to enter the body through the supraclavicular fossa, so right behind the clavicle. Now it becomes internal. That was all external. Now it becomes internal and it's going to connect to the lung organ and the large intestine organ, its own pertaining organ, right? That's the main meridian. The first branch and only branch of the large intestine is going to start at the supraclavicular fossa, and it's going to ascend along the neck to connect with 2 of the points on the SCM, or sternocleidomastoid, which is large intestine 17 and 18. And then it's going to enter the jaw, the lower jaw, and cross the lips to end up in the opposite side of the ala nasi, which is where large intestine 20 is. 19 is above the lip. So this is the only meridian that crosses the body. It comes from one side, finishes on the other side. Both sides will cross. That's the only meridian that crosses the body, so that makes it a very powerful meridian. And that's the pathway of the large intestine meridian. Are you enjoying things so far? It's a really good review, right? By the way, if you haven't yet subscribed to my email newsletter, I'll have the link below because every week I send out lots of free resources and I don't want you to miss out on it. So check it out, sign up for it. You won't regret it. And if you really don't like it, you can unsubscribe anytime. So hey, I don't think you will though, because I give a lot of value and I surely don't want you to miss on it. Let's continue. First of all, the stomach meridian or channel, depending on which word you want to use, is the second longest meridian in the body. It has 45 points. It is a foot meridian, and it is a foot Yang Ming meridian. And like I said, it has 45 points bilaterally. So if it is a foot Yang meridian, first of all, it is a Yang meridian, and it is a foot meridian because it finishes at the foot. Every meridian either starts or finishes at the hand or at the foot, and they are either a hand or a foot meridian. Now, I've already done the large intestine Yang-Ming, hand Yang-Ming meridian. This is the foot Yang-Ming meridian. So the large intestine and the stomach have a big relationships as a meridian because they're both Yang-Ming, which translates loosely by brighter young, because this was the Ming dynasty, which was very bright, very beautiful, very posh, I guess, at the time. So the Yang-Ming meridians, there's two, large intestine and stomach. So those are really strong meridian. To utilize all the points on those two meridians are going to be powerful because both those meridians carry the most qi and the most blood. So the stomach and the large intestine have the most qi and the most blood of all meridians. So they're very powerful. Also, it's interesting to see that the stomach is at the beginning of digestion and the large intestine is at the end of digestion. They're very much related. Make sense? Okay, so the Yang-Ming foot stomach meridian is most active from 7 to 9 a.m. So that 2 hours in the morning, breakfast time, after we fasted all night and we didn't eat anything, it's time to start opening up the stomach. So this is a really good way to start by your warm water with a little bit of lemon, squeeze lemon juice into it to open up the digestive system, and then start having a nutritious, mindful, enjoyable breakfast, not a quick coffee on the run. That's what we want to do. We want to be mindful to the beginning of the day and really nourish the body with the breakfast from 7 to 9 a.m. Okay, so then the pathway itself. So if you had looked at my previous videos, when we look at the cyclical flow of qi, we start, let's say, the lung, and the lung ends up at the large intestine. That's the flow of qi. The large intestine follows through the flow of qi to the stomach, and the stomach ends up into the spleen, and the spleen goes to the heart, etc., etc. So at the end of the large intestine meridian finished at large intestine 20, right by the ala nasi. So the stomach meridian actually starts by the side of the nose, not at stomach 1. Interesting. That's a question I ask my students every year in school in class as a quiz. This is a quiz question quite often. Where does the stomach meridian start? It starts at the ala nasi, or at the side of the nose. Then it will climb up. This is my beautiful board with my beautiful drawing. As you can see, I'm fabulously, very beautifully an artist that should be showcased everywhere. I'm joking. If you don't know my sarcastic sense of humor by now, you'll get used to it very soon. Okay, so it starts at the side of the nose, and then it goes up to stomach 1, which is behind the infraorbital ridge, right? And then we're going to go down the face to the jaw, back up along the side of the ear, and to the head. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is the main meridian pathway. Then we start with the first branch. The first branch starts around stomach 5 and will go down along the side of the neck, which 9, 10, and 11 will have those 3 points on the neck. It will go into the supraclavicular fossa, so behind your clavicle, enters the body, and goes to connect with the stomach organ and the spleen organ. That is the first branch. And the whole stomach meridian is about branches. When you think about it, the main meridian is only on the face. The rest is all branches. Very interesting, right? The second branch starts at the supraclavicular fossa, where the first one entered the body, and it's going to go all along the trunk, right? It's going to go down with stomach 12 all the way to stomach 18. Then we're going to go 19 all the way to 30. So the whole trunk is going to have a bunch of points. And then we're going to go on the thigh with stomach 31, 32, 33, 34, 35 at the knee, 36. And we're going to continue all along the lateral aspect of the leg and lower leg until we reach the ankle, where we have stomach 41. And then we'll have stomach 42, 43, 44, and 45, which ends up at the second toe, the lateral side of the second toe. So that's the first one. Second branch, or I should say third branch, not second, but third branch, starts at stomach 42 on top of the dorsum of the foot and finishes at the big toe, at the medial side of the big toe, where it links or connects to its meridian, opposite meridian, which is the spleen. So spleen 1 will start at the medial side of the big toe, right? And then, because it's not over, in a lot of books, we also have a branch that starts from stomach 36 and goes down all along to finish at the third toe. So this is a big meridian with lots of branches and so many actions. Okay, so we're going to start with the spleen channel pathway. But before we do, below this video, there are all the links that you need, resources to my website. So if you wanted to know a little bit more or review the TCM function as an organ system in TCM, found it all in my resource page in the link below. Okay, so let's talk about the spleen channel pathway. Before we do that, the spleen meridian is going to have 21 points, and it is a foot meridian because it starts at the foot. It is a foot tie-in. Tie-in means greater yin. The long tie-in is a hand meridian, hand tie-in meridian, and the spleen is a foot tie-in. So the long and the spleen have a really good relationship. They have the same name. And the reason is they have a really good connection for the fact that they are related to pathogens invasion as well, which it affects the spleen and the lung. So now let's start by saying that also the spleen is very activated, this channel, 2 hours of the day between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. This in the morning time is the best time to either use your physical body for exercise or your mental brain to do productive mental work. So because this is when our spleen is at its strongest. So this is when if someone doesn't have a lot of energy in the morning, that's a spleen issue. But this is your best productive time, so utilize it well. Okay? All right, so the spleen meridian starts at spleen 1, which is at the big toe. And what it does, it is going to go along the medial aspect of the foot, along the anterior aspect of the malleolus, and just on the medial aspect of the lower leg, towards the knee, to the thigh, and up towards the inner thigh, or where the hip flexor area is when we bend and flex our thigh. Now, we have spleen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we have 6 where all 3 meridians cross, spleen, liver, and kidney. We're going to talk about this today. 7, 8, 9 at the knee, 10 and 11 on the thighs. And then we have 12 and 13, which are going to be close to the femoral artery. So we'll talk about that. And then 14, 15 on the abdominal region. Then we're going to continue to 16, which is still in the abdominal region. And then we are going to go all the way to the top of where spleen 20 is. So this is 17, 18, 19, 20, which are all in intercostal spaces. And then we're going to go back down to 21 because 21 is going to be on the medial side of our body in the intercostal space 6 or 7. So we go back down. The meridian has a branch that's going internally. This internal branch goes through the spleen and stomach. Sorry for my drawing. And then we'll go to the throat and finish at the root of the mouth. So at the root of the tongue and at the root of the mouth, because digestion starts at the mouth, and spleen and stomach are all related to digestive system in TCM. There's also a branch from the spleen organ that is going to go connect to the heart organ, where it meets the heart meridian. So the heart meridian will start at its own organ. Yes? So that is the pathway of the spleen channel. The spleen channel as a whole addresses the digestive system issue, of course. It also addresses issues of muscle or muscular system issue, because the spleen is related to muscle in the 5 element. And it addresses anything that has to do with the mind as well. And also the reproductive system and water metabolism. So we want to start with the meridian pathway and explaining the heart meridian. First of all, it is a hand channel. The hand Shaoyin meridian, and obviously yin is a yin meridian, the heart is a yin meridian because it's a heart yin organ. But Shao means lesser or smaller. So the two Shaoyin meridian, the hand is the heart and the foot is the kidney. They both have the least amount of qi and the least amount of blood. What does that mean in clinical practice? It means that if there's any heart or TCM kidney issues, it takes a lot more treatments to get to the core of the problem, because heart is related to the mind, which obviously when there's emotional trauma or long-standing emotional issue, it affects the heart mind. Or the root of who we are, the genes of who we are, our aging system, the kidneys, that's also hard and it takes a long time. So because they have the least amount of qi and blood doesn't mean they don't work. It just means we have to be more consistent and explain to patients that it takes a little bit more time to see results with those two meridians, or specifically when heart and kidneys and TCM are affected. Make sense? Okay, so the Shaoyin hand meridian is activated between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. So kind of lunchtime, right? Midday, because the heart is the fire organ, is the one that is at the height of summer and noon and the highest, hottest time of the day in summer, with the sun being at the highest. Of course, not today. You guys can't see, but it's pouring rain in Vancouver right now, so we have no sun. Hope you can see me because I'm using the light from my window. At noon or around lunchtime, this is when we want to protect the heart. So in clinical practice, when people tell me they eat really fast at their desk and they don't have time to go for lunch and they overwork, I know their heart is being affected. And then they have a lot of anxiety and they can't sleep because they're not taking the time to kind of sit down, chew their food, and be calm at lunchtime. So you don't want to have coffee or do any excitement or overworking at lunch. We're supposed to calm and be nice to the heart. So that gives us a clue in clinical practice. Now let's look at the pathway. When we look at the pathway of the heart channel, if you remember, the previous channel which flows into the heart is the spleen. And the spleen ends up in the heart. Or there's a branch from the spleen that goes directly to connect with the heart channel. So the heart channel actually starts in the heart organ. That's pretty rare for most meridians. So it starts in the heart organ and it will go down to meet the small intestine, its counterpart, yin and yang related meridian, because they have to connect. Then it's going to go, this is an internal branch, by the way. It's going to go up through the throat all the way to the eyes. And the reason is, remember that the shun, S-H-E-N, the shun, in TCM is the spirit, the mind, the soul. And where do you see the connection to that? The eyes are the open windows to the soul, right? So the eyes reflects into the shen, into the mind. We always say in TCM, if someone has really been defeated, you could see it in their eyes. Their mind, their shen, their emotional trauma will show in their eyes. This is why the heart meridian has to connect to the eyes, because it's the window of the soul. Make sense? Okay, and then it's going to have a branch from the heart organ going through the lungs and then coming out at heart 1, which is under your armpit. So from heart 1, now we're on the external branch. The external branch is where all the points are located versus the internal branch, which is the connection of the points that we connect into the internal branch. That's how we connect the acupuncture needle. So heart 1 is going to be under the armpit, and we're going to go all along the channel. It's going to go on the medial aspect of your arm all the way down to the pinky, right? And we're going to have heart 2 on the arm, on the medial aspect of it. Heart 3 is going to be at the elbow, and then 4, 5, 6, 7 at the wrist area, 8 at the palm, and 9 at the tip of the finger, or the baby finger. That's the heart channel. And at the tip of the baby finger, this is where the channel connects to small intestine. And small intestine 1 will also be there. So that's where they are connecting together as well. All right? The small intestine channel is a hand channel because it starts at the hand. It's also a Taeyong channel because the two Taeyong channels are the bladder, which is a foot meridian, and the small intestine, which is a hand meridian. Tai means greater, and yang, obviously, opposite of yin. Because it's greater, it means it's the most surface. So the bladder meridian and the small intestine meridian both are going to be the most surfaced one. That's why they're really useful when it comes to treating external pathogen invasion. The second thing is the small intestine channel is activated mostly between 1 and 3 p.m., right after the heart channel, right, which is at lunchtime. So the 1 to 3 p.m., which is the small intestine time, is when we want to drink more water because, in general, drinking water is really important, specifically in the afternoon. And this is when people get dehydrated the most at small intestine and bladder time, which is 1 to 3 and 3 to 5. The small intestine channel starts where the heart ended, which was at the tip of the 5th finger. We start at the 5th finger, go all the way up to the scapula. We'll go to do 14. Then we'll enter the body to connect to the heart and small intestine. One branch at the supraclavicular fossa will go up to the outer canthus and finish at the ear. And the second branch starts at the cheek, separates right there to meet the bladder meridian and bladder 1 at the inner canthus. The small intestine meridian's function as a whole is obviously anything that's happening along the pathway of the channel. So pain along the pathway, all meridians do that. Plus, it is going to be useful for anything happening in the ear, cheek, jaw, neck, specifically external pathogens like swollen lymph nodes, as well as mental health issues. Good? All right. Are you an acupuncture student feeling overwhelmed by the vast TCM knowledge you need to know to pass exams and boards? You're not alone. I hear this from my students all the time, and I feel you because back in 2003, I was there as well. I felt like, how am I going to remember all this? How am I going to pass my boards and my exams? There's so much to know. This is why I created AccuExams Made Easy to support you and give you the confidence and the tools to pass your boards and exams. AccuExams Made Easy PDF is a comprehensive collection of over 400 multiple choice questions to help you prepare for exams with confidence. What sets this quiz PDF apart is not only relevant questions, but detailed answers so you can reinforce your understanding, because without understanding, there is no way we can pass the exam. We can't just memorize everything. It's not possible. I know it, you know it. So the detailed explanation will really help you reinforce your knowledge. And this game changer tool has over 60 video links to allow you to revisit key subjects for better comprehension. So what's inside? Let me show you. Not only you will get study tips and tricks, but on top of it, it covers everything from foundation to diagnosis, acupuncture theory, acupuncture points, function and location, tools and techniques. Now, also, we're going to look at patterns, diagnosis, and point selection. You're absolutely going to love this. Let's do one together. Here's one of the questions. I give you a case, I give you point selection, and you decide which one are the best. And then in the next page, you get the explanation for why each point has been selected and is the right one for this pattern. This is how we learn, and this is how we are able to pass exam. Comprehension is key. Memorization is not enough. You can download the PDF on any device so you can quiz yourself anytime. Make sure you download the sample of the PDF before you buy so you can see this is truly what you were looking for. I know you're going to benefit from this because I have given this to some of my students and they loved it. Look at the testimonies and see that this is a game changer for students to prepare for exams and boards. So claim your copy of AccuExam Made Easy today. I know you're going to rock those exams. The bladder meridian and its 67 points has a pathway that covers mostly the head and the back, right? Because it's a young meridian. So the back and the head are a very young part of the body. It is a Tai-Yang meridian. Tai means greater, so greater yang means it's a little bit more surface. The small intestine is the hand Tai-Yang and the bladder is the foot Tai-Yang. So they're really much related and they both go in the upper back and the neck area and the head area. Does that make sense? So the Tai-Yang meridian, the bladder Tai-Yang meridian is very activated during 2 hours of the day that are 3 to 5 p.m. in the afternoon, which makes sense because this is when most people get dehydrated. This is the time to drink more water. I bet you grabbed your water too, did you? But in general, 3 to 5 is when people say, oh, I have this fatigue that happens in the middle of the afternoon and it's really hard for me to work. Well, it's probably because you're dehydrated, because the patient will tell me that they had coffee in the morning and had a lunch and probably didn't have much liquids the whole day. And this is why we start to feel tired. So 3 to 5 p.m. gives us clues that if the patient is tired, they might be a little dehydrated. So drink up. Let's look at the pathway of the bladder meridian. The small intestine was the previous channel, and it finished at the inner canthus or at the inner corner of the eye. And this is where bladder 1 will be. The meridian itself, as you can see, starts at bladder 1 at the inner canthus and ascends up to the head and will go all the way up to the top of the head to the vertex where it meets due meridian. This is what I was talking about at the beginning when the due meridian, the brain association, and the bladder are very much related. Does that make sense? Now we have a branch that actually starts at the upper ear or above the ear and goes to connect to the due meridian and the bladder at the top. So this is the connection also of the temple area and the bladder, which connects to the gallbladder as well as the Sanjiao. See how the bladder you're going to see connects to all the organs. This is why we have the back shoe points, which connects to all the organs. Yes? Cool. So then the bladder meridian continues down the back of the head, the back of the neck, all along the side of the spine, right? We know that's the first line, all the way down to the glute, all the way down to bladder 40 behind the knee. Now we have a second branch that starts just at the lower part of the neck, and that's the parallel branch, the second one that has all the points. And it will go down along the back to meet the first one at bladder 40. Now together they're going to continue down and reach bladder 67 at the lateral side of the fifth toe. Easy, right? Now when we had that first branch that came down at the kidney area, it actually had a branch that penetrates in the lumbar area and went to connect to the kidney organ and then to the bladder organ. The bladder meridian as a whole treats disorders of pain, digestion, mental health, reproductive health, so many things because, again, it connects to all the organs and addresses everything from the head because it's on the head and all the way back down to the toes. So it's a really powerful meridian. Let's start by looking at the kidney channel. It is a foot meridian because it starts at the foot. So the kidney is a foot Shao Yin meridian. Shao Yin means lesser yin. There are two Shao Yin meridian, the heart, which is the hand Shao Yin, and the kidney, which is the foot Shao Yin. The kidneys are mostly activated between 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. This is when we're supposed to reconnect with our family. Remember, the kidneys is in charge of reproductive system, of growing, of aging, of our conception. So it's a family unit. So 5 to 7 p.m. is when we're supposed to reconnect with our loved one. Have dinner, take time to really chat about our day and connect, which often the family unit is running around, going to soccer practice or ballet practice. Often it's rushed and it's not taking the time to connect with the family. Now let's look at the pathway of the kidney channel. The bladder meridian finished at bladder 67 at the end of the fifth toe. So the kidney channel actually starts at the end of the fifth toe. Then it goes down and underneath the sole to connect with kidney 1. It comes right back up and goes on the medial aspect of the foot, which will go and wrap around the ankle, right? We have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that will wrap around the ankle, going up on the medial aspect of the lower leg with kidney 7, kidney 8, kidney 9, all the way to the knee with kidney 10. So it's going all along the medial aspect of the leg, more posterior, because liver and spleen are more anterior to the kidney channel at that stage. Then the meridian will continue to ascend all the way to the lower spine. That's the connection to the lower spine, to essence, to anything that's related to the extra vessels, because the extra vessels are connected to essence. That's how we tap into it. So the kidney meridian continues to go all the way up and enters the body at the lower spine to connect with the kidney organs and goes down to connect to the bladder organ, its counterpart, yin-yang counterpart, right? From there, it emerges back out and it will ascend along the abdominal region all the way to the chest, all the way to the lower part of the clavicle. This is where all the points are from kidney 11 all the way to kidney 27. Yes? And of course, it's bilateral. I just put it here on my beautiful drawing. Do you like my drawing? I'm not a very good drawer, but it illustrates the point, and that's the idea behind it. So then, because we always have branches when it comes to pathway of meridian, most of them have branches. There is a branch that is starting at the kidney organ that will go up through the liver, the diaphragm, the lung, the throat, and finish at the root of the tongue. Okay, so that's one branch. The second branch starts at the lung organ, goes to the heart, wraps around the heart, and connect to the pericardium, which is the next meridian in the cyclical flow of chi. Yes? Pretty good, right? So this is how we look at the meridian pathway. The kidney is such a powerful organ system that can be utilized in clinical practice to really support our essence, aging system, growth, reproduction. Its function as a whole is going to cover mental disorders, reproductive system issues, of course, but also urinary tract and bladder issue because of its connection to the bladder. And anything happening along the meridian, which goes for all meridians. The pericardium is a Jue Yin meridian. It's a hand Jue Yin. The opposite is the foot Jue Yin, which is the liver meridian. The 2 hours of the day where the pericardium is mostly activated is between 7 and 9 p.m. This is the protector of the heart, right? The pericardium. So this is the time to protect the heart, meaning it's time to calm the mind. So from 7 to 9 p.m. is the time to relax. It's not a time to start exercising, watching the news, or watching something that has a lot of crime and blood, kind of those crime shows. No. It's time to start to prepare to have a good night's sleep and have the mind calm. So it's really a time to relax, to read, to journal, to have maybe tea, to meditate, maybe do some light yin yoga, but it should be preparing for the night. Okay, so when it comes to the pericardium meridian, let's look at the channel pathway. The previous meridian was the kidney. The kidney had a branch that finished in the heart region. So the next one in the cyclical flow of qi would be the pericardium, which starts in the area or the region of the heart. It is where the pericardium organ is located. So let's look at the pathway. The meridian starts in the pericardium or the chest area, in the heart area, and will descend all the way down to the lower jiao. So it connects to the upper jiao, middle jiao, and lower jiao, because as we know, the counter opposite meridian and organ to the pericardium is the sanjiao. Make sense? Okay. Now it has a branch. So it's funny, the main meridian is very internal, and then the external part where all the points are is actually a branch. So the branch starts in the chest and emerges at pericardium 1, which is on the chest, and then will descend along the medial aspect of the arm to the cubital crease or the elbow crease, along the medial aspect of the forearm, which goes right through the wrist, through the palm, and finishes at the tip of the middle finger, where it connects to the next meridian, which is the sanjiao. So it's a very short meridian. It only has 9 points. So it's pretty simple, and it only has that one branch. So easy for us. What is the function of the pericardium channel as a whole? Very good for mental disorders, of course, pericardium 6 being one of them, with anxiety and calming the mind. Pericardium 7, which is a ghost point for broken heart. So that's also really good. So really good meridian to calm the mind. Anything happening in the chest or heart, like palpitation. And the third function is upper digestive tract. Specifically, anything happening with the stomach, qi rebelling. So anything coming up, like nausea, vomiting, acid regurgitation, that is a meridian we're going to use. That's its function as a whole. Good? Awesome. So let's look at the sanjiao meridian. It is a hand meridian, and it is a yang meridian. So this is a shao yang meridian. The opposite is a foot shao yang, which is a gallbladder. Shao yang means lesser yang, because it doesn't have as much yang as, for example, the yang min meridian, which are the large intestine and the stomach. It is really activated or peaking between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. Because it's in charge of all our organs, right? Upper, middle, and lower jiao. Think of this as 9 to 11 p.m., the time to put all our organs to sleep. So in summer, we can go all the way up to 11. And in winter, we go with the seasons, we go closer to 9:30, right? We want to really be sleeping between 9 and 11 p.m. The organ before that is the pericardium from 7 to 9 p.m., which is its counterpart, yin and yang, right? And the pericardium is in charge of protecting the heart. So from 7 to 9 p.m., this is when we get ready for bed. We calm down, maybe we do some stretching exercise, we read something good for the soul, we are calming our mind. It's not time to watch some gory movie on Netflix, right? So we prepare for bed, and then at the sanjiao time, we go to bed and we go to sleep. Yes? Okay, now let's look at the pathway of the meridian. The previous meridian in the cyclical flow of qi was the pericardium. So the pericardium finishes at the middle finger, and so it is going to connect to the sanjiao. The sanjiao starts at the fourth finger, as you can see in my beautiful drawing, which I know most people laugh when they see this. My husband was laughing this morning, literally on the floor. He's like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. But it makes my point, right? Doesn't matter that I'm not a good drawing person. So we start with sanjiao 1 at the fourth finger tip. And we're going to ascend along the dorsum, or the back of the hand, between the fourth and fifth metacarpal. And we're going to go through the wrist, again, all on the posterior back of the hand and the wrist, all the way up to the elbow. And we're going to go right through the back of the elbow, the posterior part, and along the triceps, all the way to the shoulders, specifically the back of the shoulder, the posterior deltoid, going through the trapezius right here at sanjiao 15. And then from there, the meridian's going to go into the front and enter the body at the supraclavicular fossa, or stomach 12 is located. It will go into the body and connects to the pericardium, its related organ. Then it will go down to the middle jiao and the lower jiao. So it connects with all three jiaos. There is a branch starting from the upper jiao, and it's going to come out at the supraclavicular fossa. and emerge to go along the neck where it connects to Sanjiao 16, going to the back of the ear, go around the ear, and we'll go up to the top of the corner of the head where stomach 8 is located. Go back down along the cheek and finishes at the inner canthus. The second branch starts behind the ear, enters the ear, emerges in front of the ear at Sanjiao 21, and will end up at Sanjiao 23 at the lateral end of the eyebrow, connecting to the next meridian, the gallbladder. The Sanjiao meridian function as a whole is to address anything affecting the ear, the cheeks, the temporal area, the neck, the throat, and of course anything along the meridian, as well as addressing issue of the Sanjiao as part of the Zhongfu organ theory. Let's look at the gallbladder channel pathway. Before we do so, I want to remind us that the gallbladder meridian is a yang meridian. It is a Shao Yang meridian. The Shao Yang means lesser yang because it's the least yang of all yang meridian. The first ones are the Tai Yang, then the Yang Min, then the Shao Yang. Now, the Shao Yang meridian are the Sanjiao and the gallbladder. So they pair very well together when we want to treat patients because they're both Shao Yang meridian. The Sanjiao is a hand one and the gallbladder is a foot Shao Yang meridian. It is at its peak between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. Now, a lot of my patients go to bed around midnight. And in Chinese medicine, this is the time where we should be sleeping to recover from the day's activities, right? And stress. So when people go to bed around midnight, it actually depletes the gallbladder. Those patients have difficulty in making decision or self-esteem issue or self-doubt. So it correlates so well. And I love that about learning Chinese medicine and understanding how those clues give us little things that we can look into a little bit deeper to see, okay, this problem with the gallbladder, how do I address that? And what does it lead to? Does that make sense? So that's for the gallbladder channel itself. Now, if you look at the pathway, what I think is fantastic about this channel and confusing too, because when I was in school, I thought, oh my God, this is such a hard one to remember because it was zigzagging a lot, right? Zigzagging back and forth on the head, zigzagging along the ribs, even all the way down. It's like it's not sure if it wants to be in the front or in the back, in the front or in the back. It cannot make its decision, right? Here it goes. It does not know if it wants to be in the front or in the back. So the Shao Yang is always in between the yin and the yang. It's kind of revolving door. And often we say the Shao Yang channels are a revolving door between the yin and the yang because the next level after that, when you go deeper within the meridian, is the Tai Yin level. And the Tai Yin is spleen and lung. If you haven't seen my meridian layers video yet, I'll have the link below this one so you can check it out so to understand the levels and the layers of the meridian. But the gallbladder meridian is a revolving door between the yang and the yin level. So having said that, the zigzagging, let's look at the pathway of this crazy back and forth kind of meridian. The gallbladder meridian starts at gallbladder 1 at the outer canthus and will go down to the ear, up to the forehead, back down behind the ear, back to the forehead, behind the head, all the way down to the supraclavicular fossa. That same branch here is going to continue on the ribs area, zigzagging down all the way down to the inguinal region, to the glutes, all along the lateral side of the leg, all along the lateral side of the lower leg, and finishes at the fourth toe. The first branch that starts behind the ear, emerges in front of the ear, goes to the outer canthus. The second branch starts at the outer canthus, goes to meet stomach 5 on the cheek, along the side of the neck to the supraclavicular fossa, enters the body, connects to the liver and gallbladder organs, and then will go down to the abdominal region to the external genitalia area, wraps around it, and meets the outside branch at the inguinal region. And the last branch starts from gallbladder 41 at the foot and will finish at the first big toe to meet the liver. The function of the gallbladder channel as a whole is obviously to treat anything that's happening along the channel, but also because it goes on the head, headaches, eye issue, ear issue, neck issue, as well as dizziness and anything that's happening obviously on the face and the eyes and the ears. It's also going to be helping anything with ligament, joints, and tendons, just like the organ itself in Chinese medicine, but also anything that has to do with marrow and essence, as well as the reproductive system, specifically because it wraps around the external genitalia, right? So we could see all the function kind of making sense in the end. So the liver meridian is a Jue Yin meridian. It is a yin meridian, but it's a Jue Yin meridian. Jue means the end or the terminal or the end of yin. So this is the translation, the best translation. And in the 6 stages, Jue Yin is at the end. It's at the bottom. The liver meridian is activated between 1 and 3 a.m. And this is when we get clues, when people are awake during that time, that there is something that is going to be off or out of balance with the liver meridian. Often it is due to stress and people will wake up, and that's usually a liver yang rising, and if they can't fall back asleep, that could be a liver fire, right? So, but it stems from liver qi stagnation and being stressed out. Good? So that's for the pathway of the liver meridian. The liver meridian itself, as a function, it addresses a lot of the stress, neurological issue. It addresses issue with the external genitalia, pain, of course, digestive system, and mental health. So it is really well-rounded meridian, and we use it a lot in clinical practice. Let's look at its pathway. Now, before we start with liver 1 and the pathway, we have to remember that the previous meridian was the gallbladder, which finishes at gallbladder 44. However, there was a branch from gallbladder 41 that went and connected to the big toe to meet the liver meridian. So this is how they connected. Liver 1 is on the opposite side of spleen 1 on the big toe. Spleen 1 is much more medial of the big toe, while liver 1 is more on the lateral side of the big toe, even though they're both on the medial side of the foot. So liver meridian starts at the big toe and will ascend along the dorsum part of the foot all the way to the ankle. Now, this is 1, 2, 3, and 4. 5, 6, and 7 are going to be on the medial aspect of the thigh. 8 is at the knee, or the medial aspect of the knee. 9 is going to be on the thigh, again on the inner thigh. And we're going to go ascend to the inguinal region, where we're going to have 10, 11, and 12. Then the meridian is going to wrap around the external genitalia. This is very important, and we'll see why when we talk about liver 5 later on. Then it continues to ascend to the hypochondriac region to meet liver 13. It will enter the body then. This is why I have little dots. That means it's an internal part of the meridian. Go around the stomach, meet the liver organ, and then the gallbladder organ. Then it will emerge back out at liver 14 and ascend along the ribs all the way to the throat, the nasopharynx, and to the eye, inner eye, so to connect with the eye system. It will continue to ascend all the way until it reaches DU20 to connect to the DU meridian on the vertex. Then there's a branch from the inner canthus or the eye system that will go down and wrap around the lips. This is why the liver and the spleen are very much connected. There is a lot of liver points that will help with digestion. So those two are very much connected. And then there's one more branch that starts at the liver organ. It's an internal branch and goes to the lung, where it connects to the next channel, which is the lung meridian. And then we start the cyclical flow of qi again. I hope you truly benefited from this. And if you wanted more, here's my playlist of all the acupuncture meridians, points, function, location, and pathways. No matter what, remember, acupuncture rocks!